The Great Pyramid of Giza stands as one of the most precise structures ever built, aligned almost perfectly with true north, a feat that even modern technology struggles to replicate. How did an ancient civilization, without the tools we have today, achieve such astonishing accuracy? Was this alignment a mere coincidence, or does it point to a level of knowledge that we've yet to fully understand? This is just one of the many mysteries surrounding the use of sacred geometry in ancient architecture. From the pyramids of Egypt to the temples of Greece, these structures seem to embody mathematical principles and cosmic alignments that defy explanation. Were these designs intentional, or are we simply seeing patterns where none exist? In this video, we'll explore the fascinating debate between coincidence and advanced knowledge, diving into the secrets of sacred geometry and its role in shaping some of history's most iconic buildings. Along the way, we'll uncover clues that might just challenge everything we think we know about ancient civilizations, and the possibility that they possessed knowledge far beyond their time. Are you ready to unravel the mysteries of the past? Let's begin. Sacred geometry is more than just a collection of shapes and patterns. It's a language of the universe, a way of understanding the world through forms that seem to echo across nature, art, and even the cosmos itself. At its core, sacred geometry is the study of geometric designs that carry deep spiritual or symbolic meaning. These shapes aren't random. They're believed to reflect the fundamental order of existence, connecting the physical world to something greater, something divine. This concept isn't new. Ancient cultures from Egypt to Greece to India were captivated by these patterns, seeing them as a bridge between the earthly and the eternal. The Egyptians, for instance, used precise geometric principles in their pyramids, aligning them with celestial bodies and embedding them with mathematical perfection. The Greeks, too, were masters of this art, crafting structures like the Parthenon with proportions that mirrored the golden ratio, a mathematical relationship found in everything from seashells to galaxies. Even in India, sacred geometry was woven into the design of temples, where every curve and angle was thought to resonate with the vibrations of the universe. But what makes these shapes so special? Take the golden ratio, for example. This proportion, roughly 1.618 to 1, appears repeatedly in nature, from the spiral of a nautilus shell to the arrangement of leaves on a stem. It's also a cornerstone of art and architecture, creating a sense of balance and harmony that feels instinctively pleasing to the eye. Then there's the Fibonacci sequence, a series of numbers where each one is the sum of the two preceding it. This sequence manifests in the branching of trees, the flowering of plants, and even the structure of hurricanes. And let's not forget the Platonic solids, 5 three-dimensional shapes that ancient philosophers believed represented the building blocks of the universe. These patterns aren't just mathematical curiosities. They're woven into the fabric of reality itself, and when we look at ancient architecture, it's impossible to ignore how these principles were applied with such precision. The Parthenon, for instance, isn't just a marvel of engineering, it's a testament to the Greeks' understanding of sacred geometry. Its columns, spacing, and overall design were meticulously calculated to embody the golden ratio, creating a structure that feels both monumental and harmonious. But here's the question: why did these ancient civilizations go to such lengths to incorporate these patterns into their buildings? Was it purely for aesthetic reasons, or did they believe these designs held a deeper, perhaps even mystical, significance? As we explore further, we'll see how these geometric principles weren't just decorative. They were deliberate, intentional, and perhaps even a way to connect with forces beyond our understanding. The Great Pyramid of Giza is more than just an ancient wonder. It's a masterpiece of precision that continues to baffle experts to this day. Built over 4,500 years ago, this colossal structure aligns with true north with an accuracy that's off by less than a fraction of a degree. To put that into perspective, even with today's advanced technology, achieving such exact alignment would be a monumental challenge. So how did the ancient Egyptians pull it off? One of the most striking features of the Great Pyramid is its base-to-height ratio, which closely approximates the golden ratio, a mathematical proportion revered for its aesthetic and structural harmony. This ratio, often found in nature and art, creates a sense of balance that feels inherently pleasing. But in the case of the pyramid, it's not just about beauty, it's about precision. The pyramid's dimensions are so meticulously calculated that they seem to echo the very principles of sacred geometry, suggesting a deep understanding of mathematical relationships that we often associate with much later periods in history. And then there's the pyramid's alignment with celestial bodies. The four sides of the Great Pyramid are oriented almost perfectly to the cardinal directions north, south, east, and west. Some researchers believe this alignment wasn't accidental but intentional, designed to mirror the stars or even serve as a kind of cosmic map. The pyramid's shafts, for example, are thought to point towards specific stars like Sirius and Orion's belt, which held significant meaning in ancient Egyptian cosmology. But perhaps the most astonishing aspect of the Great Pyramid is the sheer precision of its construction. The stones used to build it are cut and fitted together with such accuracy that you can't even slide a piece of paper between them. This level of craftsmanship, achieved without modern tools or machinery, raises a compelling question. How did the ancient Egyptians possess the knowledge and skill to create something so precise? Some theories suggest that the Egyptians had access to advanced tools or techniques that have since been lost to history. Others propose that they might have been guided by a deeper, perhaps even spiritual, understanding of geometry and the cosmos. Whatever the case, the Great Pyramid stands as a testament to a civilization that seemed to grasp principles far beyond what we typically attribute to their time. As we delve deeper into the mysteries of the Great Pyramid, it becomes clear that this structure might hold more than just historical significance. It could be a key to unlocking a deeper understanding of sacred geometry and the ancient world's connection to the universe. What secrets might still be hidden within its walls, and what can this ancient marvel teach us about the relationship between mathematics, architecture, and the cosmos? The answers might just reshape how we see the past and ourselves. The Parthenon, perched atop the Acropolis in Athens, is often hailed as the pinnacle of classical architecture, a structure that embodies both beauty and mathematical precision. But what makes this ancient temple so captivating isn't just its grandeur, it's the way it seamlessly integrates sacred geometry into its very design. At the heart of the Parthenon's aesthetic appeal lies the golden ratio, a proportion that appears to govern everything from the spacing of its columns to the dimensions of its facade. This ratio, roughly 1.618 to 1, creates a sense of balance and harmony that feels almost instinctive, as if the building itself resonates with the natural order of the universe. Take a closer look at the Parthenon's columns, for instance. They aren't just evenly spaced, their placement follows a meticulous geometric pattern that enhances the temple's visual appeal. The columns taper slightly as they rise, a subtle design choice that counteracts the optical illusion of them appearing to bend outward. This technique, known as intosses, isn't just practical, it's a testament to the Greeks' deep understanding of how geometry interacts with human perception. The result is a structure that feels both monumental and perfectly proportioned, as if every element was carefully calibrated to evoke a sense of awe. Historians and architects have long debated whether the Parthenon's use of the golden ratio was intentional or coincidental. Some argue that the Greeks were so attuned to these principles that they applied them instinctively, while others believe the design was a deliberate effort to reflect the harmony of the cosmos. What's clear, though, is that the Parthenon wasn't just built to impress, it was designed to communicate. Its proportions were meant to convey a sense of order, balance, and connection to something greater, whether that was the gods, the natural world, or the mathematical laws that underpin reality. But the Parthenon isn't alone in its use of sacred geometry. Across the ancient world, from the pyramids of Egypt to the temples of India, we see similar principles at work. These structures weren't just built to last, they were crafted to embody the very essence of the universe, using geometry as a language to express ideas that words alone couldn't capture. The Parthenon, with its golden ratio and precise proportions, stands as a shining example of this ancient tradition, a reminder that the pursuit of harmony and balance is as timeless as the stones themselves. As we move forward, we'll explore how other ancient structures also reflect these geometric principles, suggesting a shared knowledge that transcended cultures and continents. What ties these buildings together, and what can they teach us about the way ancient civilizations viewed the world? The answers might just reveal a deeper connection between humanity and the cosmos, one that's been encoded in stone for thousands of years. Moving from the precision of the Parthenon and the Great Pyramid, we now turn our attention to Stonehenge, a monument that has captivated imaginations for centuries. This ancient stone circle, standing on the Salisbury Plain in England, is more than just a collection of massive rocks. It's a testament to humanity's enduring fascination with the cosmos. Unlike the pyramids or the Parthenon, Stonehenge's design is strikingly simple yet profoundly mysterious. Its circular arrangement of stones, some weighing over 25 tons, aligns with celestial events like the solstices and equinoxes, suggesting a deep understanding of astronomy and geometry. At the heart of Stonehenge's design is its alignment with the summer and winter solstices. During the summer solstice, the rising sun shines directly through the monument's central axis, casting a beam of light that seems to connect the earth to the heavens. Similarly, during the winter solstice, the setting sun aligns with the structure, marking the shortest day of the year. These alignments aren't random, they reflect a sophisticated awareness of the sun's movements and the changing seasons. But how did the builders of Stonehenge, over 4,000 years ago, achieve such precision without the tools or technology we have today? The circular arrangement of the stones also holds symbolic significance. Circles have long been associated with cycles of life, death, and rebirth, and Stonehenge's design seems to echo this idea. The monument's layout mirrors the cyclical patterns of nature, from the changing seasons to the phases of the moon. Some researchers believe that Stonehenge served as a kind of calendar, helping ancient people track time and plan agricultural activities. Others suggest it was a sacred site, a place where rituals and ceremonies connected the community to the rhythms of the universe. But what's truly fascinating is how Stonehenge's design reflects principles of sacred geometry. The placement of the stones creates a series of concentric circles, with each ring representing a different layer of meaning. The outer circle, made of massive sarsen stones, symbolizes the boundary between the earthly and the divine. The inner horseshoe arrangement, composed of smaller blue stones, may represent a more intimate connection to the cosmos. Together, these elements form a geometric pattern that feels both deliberate and deeply symbolic. Theories about Stonehenge's purpose are as varied as they are intriguing. Some argue it was an astronomical observatory, a place where ancient astronomers studied the stars and planets. Others believe it was a healing site where the blue stones, transported from over 150 miles away, were thought to have mystical properties. And then there's the idea that Stonehenge was a place of pilgrimage, drawing people from across the region to witness its celestial alignments and participate in communal rituals. What's clear is that Stonehenge wasn't built in isolation. Similar stone circles and alignments have been found across Europe, from the Callanish stones in Scotland to the Carnac stones in France. This raises an important question. Was the knowledge behind Stonehenge unique to its builders, or was it part of a broader ancient tradition? Could these monuments be fragments of a shared understanding of the cosmos, one that connected distant cultures through a common language of geometry and astronomy? As we continue to explore the mysteries of ancient architecture, Stonehenge stands as a powerful reminder of humanity's timeless quest to understand the universe. Its stones, weathered by millennia, still point to the heavens, inviting us to ponder the same questions that captivated our ancestors. What secrets might these ancient structures still hold? And what can they teach us about the enduring relationship between humanity, geometry, and the cosmos? The answers, like the stones themselves, may be waiting to be uncovered. Now, let's journey across continents and centuries to explore how the golden ratio, a mathematical proportion revered for its beauty and harmony, appears in some of the world's most iconic temples. From the sprawling complex of Angkor Wat in Cambodia to the majestic Pantheon in Rome, this ratio seems to transcend time and culture, weaving its way into the very fabric of sacred architecture. But why was this proportion so universally admired, and what does its presence in these structures tell us about the ancient world's understanding of geometry and spirituality? Take Angkor Wat, for example. This sprawling temple complex, built in the 12th century, is a masterpiece of Khmer architecture. Its design is a symphony of symmetry and proportion, with the golden ratio subtly embedded in its layout. The central tower, surrounded by smaller towers and courtyards, creates a visual rhythm that feels both balanced and dynamic. Scholars have noted that the temple's dimensions align with this ratio, from the spacing of its galleries to the height of its spires. But this isn't just about aesthetics. For the Khmer people, Angkor Wat was a microcosm of the universe, a place where the earthly and the divine converged. The golden ratio, with its inherent sense of harmony, may have been seen as a way to reflect the order of the cosmos itself. Then there's the Pantheon in Rome, a structure that has stood for nearly 2,000 years as a testament to Roman engineering and artistry. The Pantheon's dome, with its perfect hemispherical shape, is a marvel of geometric precision. The height of the dome is exactly equal to its diameter, creating a sense of perfect balance that resonates with the golden ratio. Even the placement of the oculus, the circular opening at the top of the dome, seems to follow this principle, allowing light to cascade into the space in a way that feels both natural and divine. For the Romans, the Pantheon wasn't just a temple. It was a bridge between the mortal world and the heavens, a space where geometry and spirituality intertwined. But why was the golden ratio so significant across these diverse cultures? Experts suggest that this proportion, found in everything from seashells to galaxies, may have been seen as a reflection of the divine order of the universe. Its presence in nature made it a natural choice for sacred architecture, where the goal was often to create spaces that felt both harmonious and transcendent. Some researchers argue that the golden ratio's aesthetic appeal is rooted in our own biology. Our brains are wired to find this proportion pleasing, making it a universal tool for creating beauty and meaning. What's striking is how these temples, separated by thousands of miles and centuries, seem to share a common language of geometry. Whether it's the intricate carvings of Angkor Wat or the soaring dome of the Pantheon, the golden ratio serves as a thread connecting these structures, hinting at a shared understanding of sacred geometry that transcended cultural boundaries. Could this widespread use of the golden ratio suggest that ancient civilizations were tapping into a universal truth, a way of seeing the world that united them across time and space? As we continue to explore the mysteries of ancient architecture, the golden ratio emerges as more than just a mathematical curiosity. It's a key to understanding how these cultures viewed the world not as a collection of random events, but as a harmonious, interconnected whole. What other secrets might these temples hold, and what can they teach us about the timeless relationship between geometry, spirituality, and the cosmos? The answers, like the golden ratio itself, may lie in the balance between the seen and the unseen, the earthly and the eternal. The Fibonacci sequence is one of those fascinating mathematical phenomena that seems to pop up everywhere from the natural world to the structures we build. Named after the Italian mathematician Leonardo Fibonacci, who introduced it to the Western world in the 13th century, this sequence is a series of numbers where each number is the sum of the two preceding ones, 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, and so on. But what makes this sequence truly remarkable is how often it appears in nature. Take a sunflower, for example. If you look closely at its center, you'll notice that the seeds are arranged in spirals that curve both clockwise and counterclockwise. Count these spirals and you'll find that the numbers almost always correspond to consecutive Fibonacci numbers. The same pattern appears in pine cones, pineapples, and even the branching of trees. Even seashells like the nautilus grow in a logarithmic spiral that follows the Fibonacci sequence, creating a shape that's both efficient and aesthetically pleasing. But the Fibonacci sequence isn't just a quirk of nature. It's also found its way into human-made structures, particularly in ancient architecture. In Hindu temples, for instance, spiral designs and intricate carvings often reflect these natural patterns. The Temple of Angkor, which we touched on earlier, incorporates Fibonacci-like spirals in its decorative motifs, creating a visual rhythm that mirrors the growth patterns seen in plants and shells. These designs weren't just decorative, they were symbolic, representing the idea of growth, expansion, and the cyclical nature of life. What's striking is how these architectural choices seem to echo the patterns found in the natural world. It's as if ancient builders were drawing inspiration from the same mathematical principles that govern the growth of a sunflower or the curve of a seashell. This connection between nature and architecture suggests something profound, a shared understanding of the universe's underlying order. But why would ancient cultures go to such lengths to incorporate these patterns into their buildings? Some scholars believe it was more than just an artistic choice, it was a philosophical one. By aligning their structures with the Fibonacci sequence and other natural patterns, these cultures may have been expressing a belief in the interconnectedness of all things. The spiral of a seashell, the branching of a tree, and the curve of a temple's design weren't just separate phenomena. They were part of a unified whole, a cosmic harmony that connected the earthly to the divine. This idea of interconnectedness isn't just limited to ancient architecture. Even today, architects and designers draw inspiration from the Fibonacci sequence, using it to create spaces that feel both harmonious and alive. From the spiraling staircases of modern buildings to the layout of urban parks, the influence of this ancient mathematical principle continues to shape the world around us. As we reflect on the Fibonacci sequence and its role in both nature and architecture, it's hard not to wonder, was this pattern a deliberate choice, or did it emerge naturally from a deeper understanding of the universe? Perhaps the answer lies somewhere in between, a blend of observation, intuition, and reverence for the patterns that surround us. Whatever the case, the Fibonacci sequence serves as a reminder that the line between the natural and the human-made is often thinner than we think, and that the secrets of the cosmos might be hidden in the most unexpected places. What other patterns might we uncover if we look closely enough? And what can these ancient designs teach us about our place in the universe? The answers, like the spirals of a seashell, may just keep unfolding. The Platonic solids are more than just geometric shapes, they're a window into how ancient civilizations understood the universe. Named after the Greek philosopher Plato, who theorized about their significance, these 5 three-dimensional shapes are unique because each one has identical faces, edges, and angles. They are the tetrahedron, cube, octahedron, dodecahedron, and icosahedron. But what makes these shapes so special? To the ancients, they weren't just mathematical curiosities, they were the building blocks of reality itself. Plato believed that each of these solids corresponded to one of the classical elements: fire, earth, air, water, and the mysterious 5th element, often referred to as ether or the cosmos. The tetrahedron, with its sharp, angular faces, was associated with fire. The cube, stable and grounded, represented earth. The octahedron, light and airy, symbolized air, while the icosahedron, with its many smooth faces, was linked to water. The dodecahedron, with its 12 pentagonal faces, was seen as a representation of the heavens, a shape that encapsulated the harmony of the universe. These shapes weren't just philosophical concepts, they found their way into sacred architecture and artifacts. For example, dodecahedron-shaped objects have been discovered in ancient Roman sites, though their exact purpose remains a mystery. Some speculate they were used in rituals or as tools for astronomical calculations, while others believe they held symbolic meaning, representing the interconnectedness of all things. Similarly, the cube's association with Earth can be seen in the design of ancient temples, where its stable form was used to create foundations that felt both solid and sacred. But why were these shapes so revered? One theory is that their perfect symmetry made them a natural choice for representing the order of the cosmos. In a world where chaos often reigned, the Platonic solids offered a sense of stability and harmony. They were a way to visualize the invisible forces that governed life, a kind of geometric language that connected the physical world to the spiritual. The use of these shapes in sacred spaces suggests that ancient architects and philosophers saw geometry as more than just a tool for construction. It was a way to encode cosmic knowledge. By incorporating the Platonic solids into their designs, they may have been attempting to align their structures with the fundamental principles of the universe. This idea isn't just limited to the ancient world. Modern science has found that these shapes appear in everything from the structure of crystals to the arrangement of molecules. As we explore the role of the Platonic solids in ancient architecture, it's hard not to wonder, were these shapes simply symbolic, or did they hold a deeper, perhaps even practical, significance? Could they have been a way for ancient cultures to map the cosmos, to understand the forces that shaped their world? The answers might lie in the stones and artifacts they left behind, shapes that continue to inspire and mystify us to this day. What other secrets might these ancient geometries hold, and what can they teach us about the timeless quest to understand the universe? The Platonic solids, with their perfect symmetry and profound symbolism, remind us that the search for knowledge is as old as humanity itself, and that the answers we seek might be hidden in the simplest of shapes. The precision of ancient architecture isn't just about the shapes and proportions, it's also about the measurements themselves. Across cultures, we find evidence of standardized units of measurement that were used to create structures with astonishing accuracy. One of the most famous examples is the Egyptian cubit, a unit of length that was used in the construction of the pyramids and other monumental buildings. But what exactly is a cubit, and why was it so important? The Egyptian cubit was roughly the length of a forearm, from the elbow to the tip of the middle finger, about 20.6 inches or 52.3 centimeters. But this wasn't just a rough estimate. The cubit was divided into smaller units called palms and digits, allowing for incredibly precise measurements. This level of detail was crucial for constructing something as massive and intricate as the Great Pyramid, where even the slightest error could throw off the entire design. What's fascinating is how the cubit aligns with sacred geometric principles. For instance, the base length of the Great Pyramid is 365 cubits, a number that corresponds to the days in a solar year. The pyramid's height, meanwhile, is 280 cubits, a figure that some researchers believe relates to the mathematical constant pi. These connections suggest that the cubit wasn't just a practical tool. It was a way of encoding cosmic knowledge into the very fabric of the structure. But how did ancient builders achieve such precision without the advanced tools we have today? Some theories suggest they used simple yet ingenious methods like ropes and stakes to measure and align their structures. Others propose that they relied on astronomical observations, using the stars as a guide to ensure their buildings were perfectly oriented. There's even speculation that they had access to advanced knowledge or technology that has since been lost to history. The question remains, were these measurements purely practical or did they carry deeper symbolic meaning? For the Egyptians, the cubit may have been more than just a unit of length. It could have represented a connection to the divine. By using measurements that aligned with celestial cycles and mathematical constants, they may have been trying to create structures that resonated with the order of the universe. This idea isn't unique to Egypt. In ancient Mesopotamia, the Sumerians used a unit called the kush, which was similar to the cubit and also tied to sacred geometry. In India, the hasta, another forearm-based measurement, was used in temple construction, often in ways that reflected spiritual principles. These shared practices suggest that standardized measurements weren't just about practicality. They were a way of expressing a universal understanding of harmony and balance. As we explore the mystery of ancient measurements, it's clear that these units were more than just tools for building. They were a language, a way of communicating ideas about the cosmos through the medium of architecture. Whether it's the cubit, the kush, or the hasta, these measurements remind us that the ancient world was deeply attuned to the rhythms of the universe, and that their buildings were more than just stone and mortar. They were expressions of a profound connection to the world around them. What other secrets might these ancient measurements hold, and what can they teach us about the way our ancestors saw the world? The answers might just lie in the spaces between the stones, waiting to be measured and understood. The night sky has always been a source of wonder and inspiration, but for ancient civilizations, it was far more than just a canvas of stars. It was a map, a clock, and a guide. Astronomy played a central role in shaping the sacred geometry of their architecture, with structures meticulously aligned to celestial events like solstices, equinoxes, and the movements of key constellations. These alignments weren't just decorative, they were deliberate, reflecting a profound connection between the heavens and the earth. Take the Great Sphinx of Giza, for example. This iconic monument, with its lion's body and human head, is often thought to represent the pharaoh as a protector of the land, but there's more to its design than meets the eye. Some researchers believe the Sphinx aligns with the constellation Leo during specific astronomical events, particularly around 10,500 years ago. This alignment suggests that the Sphinx might have been more than just a symbol of earthly power. It could have been a marker of cosmic significance, a way of linking the pharaoh's reign to the eternal cycles of the stars. The Maya, too, were masters of celestial alignment. Their pyramids and temples, like the famous El Castillo at Chichen Itza, were designed to interact with the sun in dramatic ways. During the spring and autumn equinoxes, the setting sun casts a shadow on the pyramid staircase that resembles a serpent slithering down the steps. This phenomenon, known as the descent of Kukulkan, wasn't just a stunning visual effect, it was a carefully calculated event that tied the pyramid to the agricultural calendar and the cycles of life and death. But why did these cultures go to such lengths to align their structures with the heavens? For the Egyptians, the stars were more than just points of light. They were the abode of the gods, a realm where the pharaohs would journey after death. Aligning their monuments with celestial bodies was a way of ensuring that the pharaoh's soul could navigate the afterlife. The Maya, on the other hand, saw the cosmos as a living, breathing entity, with the movements of the stars and planets influencing everything from the harvest to the fate of their rulers. These alignments also reveal something deeper, a shared understanding of sacred geometry as a way of encoding cosmic knowledge. The precise angles and proportions used in these structures weren't just about aesthetics, they were a way of capturing the rhythms of the universe in stone. The golden ratio, for instance, appears not only in the proportions of these buildings but also in the spacing of celestial bodies, creating a kind of harmony between the earthly and the divine. What's truly remarkable is how these ancient cultures, separated by vast distances and centuries, arrived at similar conclusions about the relationship between geometry and the cosmos. Whether it's the Sphinx gazing toward Leo or the serpent shadow of El Castillo, these alignments suggest a universal quest to understand the heavens and to reflect that understanding in the structures they built. Could these alignments be evidence of a lost understanding of the cosmos, one that connected distant cultures through a shared language of geometry and astronomy? The answer might lie in the stones themselves, which continue to point to the stars, inviting us to uncover the secrets of the past. As we explore further, we'll see how these ancient architects didn't just build monuments. They created maps of the universe encoded in stone and aligned with the heavens. What other celestial connections might we discover if we look closely enough? The stars, it seems, still have stories to tell. Circles and spirals are more than just shapes. They're profound symbols that have captivated humanity for millennia. Found in everything from ancient temples to natural phenomena, these forms carry deep meanings that transcend cultures and time. The circle, with its endless curve, represents unity, wholeness, and infinity. It has no beginning or end, making it a powerful symbol of the eternal and the cyclical nature of existence. The spiral, on the other hand, embodies growth, evolution, and the journey from the center outward, a visual metaphor for life's unfolding mysteries. In ancient architecture, these shapes were more than decorative. They were imbued with spiritual significance. Take Stonehenge, for example. Its circular arrangement of stones isn't just a feat of engineering. It's a symbolic representation of the cycles of life, death, and rebirth. The monument's alignment with the solstices further emphasizes this connection, linking the earthly to the celestial in a continuous loop of time. Similarly, Buddhist stupas, with their domed shapes and concentric circles, symbolize the path to enlightenment, a journey that spirals inward toward inner peace and outward toward universal understanding. Historians and spiritual leaders have long debated the deeper meanings behind these symbols. Some suggest that circles and spirals were used to encode universal truths, serving as a kind of visual language that communicated ideas about the cosmos and humanity's place within it. For instance, the mandala, a circular design used in Hinduism and Buddhism, represents the universe and the interconnectedness of all things. Its intricate patterns, often radiating outward from a central point, mirror the spiraling growth of galaxies and the branching of trees, suggesting a shared geometry that unites the microcosm and the macrocosm. But why were these shapes so universally revered? One theory is that their simplicity and perfection made them ideal for expressing complex ideas about existence. The circle, with its unbroken line, could symbolize the infinite and the divine, while the spiral's dynamic form might represent the ongoing process of creation and transformation. Together, these shapes offered a way to visualize the unseen forces that shape our world, forces that ancient cultures sought to understand and honor through their architecture. What's fascinating is how these symbols appear across cultures, from the Celtic spirals carved into ancient stones to the labyrinthine designs of medieval cathedrals. This widespread use suggests a shared human intuition about the power of these forms. a recognition that they hold a key to understanding the mysteries of life and the universe. Could it be that circles and spirals are more than just artistic choices? Could they be a kind of universal language encoding truths that transcend time and culture? As we explore the symbolism of circles and spirals, it's clear that these shapes are more than just geometric curiosities. They're a bridge between the physical and the spiritual, a way of expressing ideas that words alone cannot capture. Whether etched into stone or woven into the fabric of a temple, these forms remind us of the timeless quest to understand the world around us and our place within it. What other secrets might these ancient symbols hold? The answers, like the spirals themselves, may just keep unfolding. The principles of sacred geometry, once the foundation of ancient temples and monuments, continue to shape the world around us even in the modern era. Today, architects and designers draw inspiration from these timeless patterns, creating structures that echo the harmony and balance of the past while pushing the boundaries of innovation. From the sweeping curves of the Guggenheim Museum to the soaring sails of the Sydney Opera House, sacred geometry remains a powerful force in contemporary architecture. Take Frank Lloyd Wright's Guggenheim Museum in New York, for example. Its iconic spiral design isn't just visually striking, it's a modern interpretation of the Fibonacci sequence, a pattern found in nature and revered by ancient cultures. As visitors ascend the museum's ramp, they experience a sense of continuity and flow, as if moving through a living, breathing organism. Wright himself described the design as a temple of the spirit, a space where art and geometry converge to create something transcendent. This connection to sacred geometry isn't accidental, it's a deliberate choice, reflecting Wright's belief in the unity of art, nature, and architecture. Similarly, the Sydney Opera House, with its shell-like forms, is a masterpiece of geometric design. Architect John Utzon drew inspiration from natural shapes, particularly the segments of an orange, to create a structure that feels both organic and monumental. The overlapping shells, arranged in a precise geometric pattern, evoke the harmony of sacred geometry while serving a practical purpose. Their curvature allows for optimal acoustics. Utzon once said, "The shell is a symbol of something eternal, something that has always been there." His words capture the essence of sacred geometry, a timeless language that speaks to the human desire for beauty and meaning. But why does sacred geometry still resonate with modern architects? For many, it's about more than aesthetics. It's about creating spaces that feel alive, that connect us to something greater than ourselves. Contemporary architect Norman Foster, known for his sleek, futuristic designs, has spoken about the importance of proportion and balance in his work. He describes sacred geometry as a way of understanding the world, of finding order in chaos. This sentiment is echoed by Zaha Hadid, whose fluid, dynamic structures often incorporate geometric patterns inspired by nature. For Hadid, geometry wasn't just a tool, it was a way of expressing movement, energy, and the interconnectedness of all things. What's remarkable is how these modern interpretations of sacred geometry reflect the same principles that guided ancient builders. Whether it's the golden ratio in the Parthenon or the Fibonacci sequence in the Guggenheim, the underlying idea is the same. That geometry is a universal language, one that transcends time and culture. This enduring appeal suggests that sacred geometry isn't just a relic of the past, it's a living tradition, one that continues to inspire and challenge us to create spaces that resonate with the human spirit. As we look to the future, it's clear that the lessons of sacred geometry are far from forgotten. From skyscrapers to public parks, these ancient principles are being reimagined in ways that reflect our evolving understanding of the world. The question is, what new forms might emerge as we continue to explore the intersection of geometry, art, and architecture? The possibilities are as infinite as the patterns themselves, reminding us that the search for harmony and balance is a journey without end. In the end, sacred geometry isn't just about shapes and proportions, it's about the stories we tell through the spaces we create. Whether carved into stone or cast in steel, these patterns are a testament to humanity's enduring quest to find meaning in the world around us. And as long as we continue to build, to dream, and to explore, the legacy of sacred geometry will live on, shaping not just our buildings, but our understanding of the universe itself. As we marvel at the precision and sophistication of ancient architecture, one question looms large: how did civilizations thousands of years ago acquire such advanced geometric knowledge? The answer isn't straightforward, and it sparked a wide range of theories, some grounded in historical evidence, others more speculative. One of the most intriguing ideas is that ancient cultures might have been influenced by extraterrestrial beings. Proponents of this theory point to the seemingly impossible accuracy of structures like the Great Pyramid or the celestial alignments of Stonehenge, suggesting that such feats could only have been achieved with outside help. While this idea remains controversial, it raises an important question. If not extraterrestrial, then where did this knowledge come from? Another possibility is that ancient civilizations possessed technologies or techniques that have since been lost to history. Some researchers argue that tools or methods used by the Egyptians, Maya, or other cultures were far more advanced than we give them credit for. For example, the precision with which the stones of the Great Pyramid were cut and fitted suggests a level of craftsmanship that rivals modern engineering. Could these societies have developed sophisticated tools or machinery that we've yet to uncover? Or perhaps they had access to materials or processes that allowed them to achieve results that seem impossible by today's standards. Then there's the idea of a shared ancient tradition, a kind of global network of knowledge that connected distant cultures. This theory suggests that civilizations across the world, from Egypt to Mesoamerica to India, were part of a larger, interconnected system of learning. Evidence for this can be seen in the similarities between their architectural styles, astronomical alignments, and use of sacred geometry. For instance, the golden ratio appears in structures as far apart as the Parthenon in Greece and Angkor Wat in Cambodia. Could this be a coincidence, or does it point to a deeper, shared understanding of the universe? Historians and archaeologists often lean toward more grounded explanations, emphasizing the ingenuity and resourcefulness of ancient peoples. They argue that through careful observation, trial and error, and a deep reverence for the natural world, these cultures developed their own systems of knowledge. The alignment of structures with celestial events, for example, could have been achieved through generations of meticulous sky watching and record keeping. Similarly, the use of sacred geometry might have emerged from a combination of artistic intuition and mathematical experimentation. Alternative researchers, on the other hand, often take a more speculative approach, suggesting that ancient knowledge was deliberately preserved through symbols, myths, and oral traditions. They point to stories of lost civilizations like Atlantis or Lemuria as possible sources of this wisdom. According to this view, the geometric principles we see in ancient architecture might be remnants of a much older, more advanced culture that passed its knowledge down through the ages. So, was this knowledge deliberately preserved, or was it accidentally rediscovered by later civilizations? The answer might lie somewhere in between. It's possible that ancient peoples developed their understanding of geometry and astronomy independently, but also shared and built upon ideas through trade, migration, and cultural exchange. Over time, this collective wisdom could have been encoded into their architecture, creating a legacy that continues to inspire and mystify us today. As we explore these theories, it's clear that the mystery of ancient knowledge is far from solved. Whether through extraterrestrial influence, lost technologies, or a shared tradition, the geometric mastery of ancient civilizations remains one of history's most enduring puzzles. What's certain is that their achievements challenge us to rethink what we know about the past, and to consider the possibility that they understood the world in ways we're only beginning to grasp. What other clues might be hidden in the stones and symbols they left behind, and what can their legacy teach us about the timeless quest for knowledge? The answers, like the ancient structures themselves, may be waiting to be uncovered. The question of whether sacred geometry in ancient architecture was intentional or coincidental has sparked heated debates among historians, archaeologists, and enthusiasts alike. On one side of the argument, there are those who believe that the precise alignments, proportions, and patterns found in structures like the Great Pyramid, the Parthenon, and Stonehenge were deliberate choices, reflecting a deep understanding of mathematics, astronomy, and spirituality. They argue that the consistency of these geometric principles across different cultures and time periods suggests a shared, intentional effort to encode cosmic knowledge into stone. For example, the alignment of the Great Pyramid with true north is often cited as evidence of intentional design. Achieving such accuracy without modern tools would have required not only advanced knowledge but also a clear purpose, perhaps to connect the structure to the heavens or to embody the harmony of the universe. Similarly, the golden ratio's presence in the Parthenon and other temples is seen as proof that ancient architects were consciously applying these principles to create spaces that felt both beautiful and sacred. On the other side of the debate, skeptics argue that these patterns could simply be the result of human ingenuity and trial and error. They point out that ancient builders were highly skilled and resourceful, capable of achieving remarkable feats through observation and experimentation. The golden ratio, for instance, might have been discovered intuitively as a pleasing proportion that naturally emerged from their artistic and architectural practices. In this view, the alignment of structures with celestial events could have been achieved through generations of careful sky watching, rather than a deliberate attempt to encode cosmic knowledge. Cultural symbolism also plays a significant role in this debate. Some experts suggest that the use of sacred geometry was less about mathematical precision and more about conveying spiritual or philosophical ideas. The circle, for example, might have been chosen not because of its geometric properties but because it symbolized unity and eternity. Similarly, the spiral could have represented growth and transformation, making it a powerful symbol for temples and monuments. In this interpretation, the geometry was a language, a way of expressing ideas that words alone couldn't capture. Archaeologist John Anthony West once remarked, "The ancients were not just building structures, they were building ideas." This perspective highlights the possibility that sacred geometry was both intentional and symbolic, serving as a bridge between the physical and the spiritual. At the same time, mathematician and author Michael Schneider argues that these patterns are so deeply rooted in nature that they might have emerged organically, as a reflection of the world around us. So, where does the truth lie? Is sacred geometry in ancient architecture the result of deliberate design, or is it a product of coincidence and human creativity? The answer might not be clear-cut. It's possible that both perspectives hold some truth, that ancient builders were guided by a combination of intuition, observation, and a desire to connect with something greater than themselves. As we weigh the evidence, it's worth considering how these ancient structures continue to inspire us today. Whether intentional or coincidental, their use of sacred geometry speaks to a timeless human quest for harmony, balance, and meaning. What do you think? Was sacred geometry a deliberate choice or a happy accident? The beauty of this debate is that it invites us to explore, question, and form our own conclusions. As we move forward, let's keep this question in mind. What can these ancient designs teach us about the way we see the world and ourselves? The answers might just reshape how we understand the past and perhaps even the future. Sacred geometry isn't just about shapes and numbers, it's a profound expression of humanity's search for meaning and connection. For ancient cultures, these patterns weren't merely mathematical curiosities. They were gateways to the divine, tools for understanding the mysteries of existence. The circle, the spiral, the golden ratio, each shape carried a deeper spiritual significance, serving as a bridge between the physical world and the unseen forces that govern it. Take the concept of the circle, for example. In many traditions, the circle symbolizes unity, wholeness, and the infinite. It has no beginning or end, making it a powerful representation of the eternal. The philosopher Plotinus once wrote, "The soul is a circle whose center is everywhere and whose circumference is nowhere." This idea captures the essence of sacred geometry, a way of seeing the world as interconnected and boundless, where every point is connected to the whole. Similarly, the spiral has long been associated with growth, evolution, and the journey of the soul. In Hinduism and Buddhism, the spiral is often linked to the concept of samsara, the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. It's a reminder that life is not a straight line but a continuous unfolding, a process of moving inward and outward towards self-discovery and universal understanding. The spiritual teacher Rumi once said, "The soul has been given its own ears to hear things the mind does not understand." Sacred geometry, in this sense, becomes a language for the soul, a way of communicating truths that transcend logic and reason. Ancient cultures saw geometry as more than just a tool for building. It was a way of aligning themselves with the cosmos. The Egyptians, for instance, believed that the pyramids were not just tombs but gateways to the afterlife, designed to help the pharaoh's soul ascend to the stars. The Maya, too, used geometric principles in their temples to create spaces that resonated with the energy of the universe. These structures weren't just physical, they were spiritual, designed to elevate the mind and spirit. But what does this mean for us today? In a world often dominated by science and technology, sacred geometry offers a reminder of the deeper dimensions of life. It invites us to see the world not just as a collection of objects but as a living, interconnected whole. The philosopher Pythagoras, who believed that numbers and shapes held the key to understanding the universe, once said, "All is number." This idea resonates with modern seekers who are drawn to the idea of finding harmony and meaning in a chaotic world. For many, sacred geometry is a path to personal enlightenment, a way of reconnecting with the sacred in everyday life. Whether through meditation, art, or simply observing the patterns in nature, these ancient principles can inspire a sense of wonder and awe. They remind us that beauty and meaning are not separate from the world around us but woven into its very fabric. As we reflect on the spiritual significance of sacred geometry, it's worth asking, how can these ancient ideas enrich our lives today? Perhaps they offer a way of seeing the world with fresh eyes, of finding the sacred in the ordinary. Whether you're drawn to the precision of the golden ratio or the symbolism of the spiral, these patterns invite us to explore the deeper connections that bind us to each other and to the cosmos. In the end, sacred geometry is more than just a study of shapes, it's a journey into the heart of what it means to be human. It's a reminder that the search for meaning is as old as humanity itself, and that the answers we seek might be hidden in the simplest of patterns. What might we discover if we look closely enough? The journey, like the shapes themselves, is endless. As we come to the end of this journey through the mysteries of sacred geometry and ancient architecture, it's worth taking a moment to reflect on what we've uncovered. From the awe-inspiring precision of the Great Pyramid to the celestial alignments of Stonehenge, and from the golden ratio in the Parthenon to the spiraling patterns of Angkor, one thing is clear: these ancient structures are more than just stone and mortar. They are testaments to a profound understanding of the world, a blend of mathematics, astronomy, and spirituality that continues to captivate us today. The debate over whether these achievements were the result of coincidence or advanced knowledge remains unresolved. Were the ancient builders guided by intuition and trial and error, or did they possess insights that we've yet to fully grasp? The evidence suggests a little of both. On one hand, the sheer consistency of geometric principles across cultures and time periods points to a shared, intentional effort to encode cosmic knowledge into architecture. On the other hand, the ingenuity and resourcefulness of ancient peoples remind us that human creativity knows no bounds. What's undeniable is the enduring allure of sacred geometry. These patterns, whether in the spiral of a seashell, the proportions of a temple, or the alignment of a pyramid, speak to something deep within us. They remind us of the interconnectedness of all things, the harmony that exists between the earthly and the divine. As the philosopher Plato once said, geometry is the language of the universe, and perhaps in studying these ancient designs, we're not just learning about the past, we're rediscovering a language that connects us to the cosmos itself. So, what do you think? Was sacred geometry a deliberate choice, a way for ancient civilizations to communicate with the divine? Or was it a happy accident, a byproduct of human ingenuity and observation? The beauty of this mystery is that it invites us to explore, to question, and to form our own conclusions. Before we wrap up, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you believe the precision of these ancient structures points to advanced knowledge, or is it simply a testament to human creativity? Share your ideas in the comments below. Let's keep the conversation going. And as we close, let's leave you with this thought. Sacred geometry isn't just a relic of the past. It's a living tradition, one that continues to inspire architects, artists, and seekers of truth. Whether carved into stone or cast in steel, these patterns remind us that the search for meaning is as old as humanity itself, and that the answers we seek might be hidden in the simplest of shapes. As the poet William Blake once wrote, "To see a world in a grain of sand and a heaven in a wild flower, hold infinity in the palm of your hand and eternity in an hour." Perhaps in the geometry of the ancients, we too can glimpse the infinite. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep marveling at the mysteries of the past.